So, I grew up Nazarene, and a very strict church of Nazarene. Very, well-meaning and friendly people, but still some kind of limitation that I won't get into. I don't want to play the whole, you know, angry at Christianity thing because I've both been there and I've done that and I've dealt with it and I've moved on, and I really just I don't even have any malice, and can really appreciate Christianity for the positive aspects without necessarily getting caught up in the negative things. So this is not going to be a Christian bashing sort of thing. It's just my roots. But the reason that I gravitated toward paganism was because I had sort of this deviant sexuality and these sort of deviant worldviews that didn't fit into this kind of box that I grew up in. And paganism, interestingly enough, it sort of filled the gaps. It sort of connected all of the things that were not connectable by following anything else that I'd been taught. And more importantly, there was a sense of creation and exploration and research and delving into things and becoming very personally invested in what I was doing. It wasn't passive. It's still not passive for me, which is why I think I defend fluffy witches, because I don't see it as that. I see people who are very, very positive, and they're very invested in what they do. And I remember, all too well that a lot of the tradition stuff was sort of cobbled together along the way, and you sort of went through the process of the Golden Dawn and the Rosicrucians and Gardner and the list goes on. I'm not going to recite a litany. But what those people did, and what I enjoy about sort of the founders of modern Wicca and so on, is I admire their spirit to be personally invested, and I admire their creative spirit, and I admire the fact that they were doing what felt correct to them, what they researched, what they put together when there were gaps, and what they ultimately sort of rebirthed. I think there's a certain amount of intuition, a certain amount of creativity, and a certain amount of just making shit up. And I think that's not bad. I think that at the end of the day, you have to be invested, and if your spirituality is not a creative outlet, if it's not a source of joy, if it's not a source of contentment, if it's not everything you need it to be, then you're in the wrong place. And either you need to develop a more personal and spiritual relationship with your faith, or you need to change faiths, or you need to figure out what's missing in your life. So I guess what paganism means to me is not having to say, I'm sorry. It means not having to apologize for who I am, or what I like, or what I'm attracted to, or what I want to study. It's the freedom to be myself, and most importantly, it's the freedom to fill my brain and my heart with exactly what I need to. And that doesn't mean fitting someone else's outline. It doesn't mean reciting whatever the accepted text is at this point, and it doesn't mean subscribing to charts and tables and anything else. I'm sure that there are reasons. I know that there are reasons, most of them scientific or early attempts at scientific, to sort of journal these things, and I respect that. As a scientist, I certainly respect that. But ultimately, what I think is most important for me, what it means for me, is that it's okay for me to, and for you, and for anyone, to find the method that you need to live by. Find what you need to be fulfilled. And if anyone tells you that you are wrong, then immediately stop listening. because in your heart, in your spirit, you know what's right for you. And it's exactly what Gardner did, and it's exactly what Crowley did, and it's exactly what the Rosicrucians did when they created things. They came from somewhere, they came from inspiration, and most importantly, it is exactly what Paleolithic man did. And believe me, I will argue this point with any armchair paleontologist, anyone that wants to argue this point. I will be more than happy to point you in the direction of very valid research that shows exactly what I'm about to say, and that is that early man filled in the blanks for themselves, and they didn't have a formulary to follow, and they were not wrong. So, peace and blessings to you. Find your path. Love you all. Later.